Hey everybody, welcome to Tatter-a-fact here at the Girlz studio in Las Vegas. And today my guest is, I got Victoria Rocca with us. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
How's Vegas?
Vegas is cooling down. I think today's the last hot day. It's like 95 today, but
Okay.
from what I understand, we're hitting 80s next week. So yeah, but that's Vegas, right? We go from hot, like we only have really two seasons. We have hot and then we have chilly, right? We don't really have spring and fall, or we do, but it's like a week long. But I know. So no, I'm excited to get out of the hot weather and get into the cooler weather. I like the cooler weather.
Yeah. How cool does Vegas actually get?
Do you know, October is a beautiful month. November is a beautiful month. I would say just January, February, 50s and 60s. We can definitely have some days that are, low 60s, but I would say probably 50s, high 50s, something like that. And then we can.
I respect it.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it's good because you get out your winter jacket and the season's so short. It's short.
Yeah, we're the same. In Louisiana, I mean, it's the swamp, it's mostly muggy. It's mostly hot, but January, February is where we're cold too. And to me, if people are going to come at me for that, 50 is cold for me. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's chilly. It's chilly. Hey, I wanted to give you a shout out because I wanted to let my listeners know that you and I did this podcast a few weeks ago. You took time out of your day to be on my podcast. And for the first time in Tatter-a-fact history, Willow went to go download the file and the file was corrupt. And she tried every which way to save it, and it was just corrupt. And never happened before, but it happened with your podcast, and we were all really super heartbroken. It was like devastating. It was like, what a blow. It's like, oh my God, you're kidding me. But we reached out and told you about it and asked you if you would do it again. And you said yes. And here you are again, taking time out of your day. Well, I know you're busy and I respect time. I respect your time. Time's, our most valuable commodity. And I know you're busy. You're a mom. And without hesitation, you just said, yeah, of course. And here you are again. So for that, I thank you. And I think you're awesome for doing that. So.
No, thank you. I appreciate you sitting down and doing it with me twice.
Well, if the podcast had sucked, I probably wouldn't have asked you back. But I thought it was really, really great. I thought it was great, great material, great education. So let's do it again. Let's get into it.
Let's do it again. You guys really missed out. I'm telling you. The other one was so good.
I know. This one will be better, right? This one will be better. But you're Victoria Rocca on Instagram. You're known as Victoria Glam. And you also have a podcast, the Glam Life Podcast. And I don't know. Can I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a guest.
Yours comes out on the 9th.
On the 9th. So I'm going to be a guest on your podcast. So I'm super excited about that. And you do permanent makeup, you own a training studio, you do a lot, but probably your forte, your little niche is creating content creation. Would I be correct in that?
Say so, yeah. I think I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, you're good at it. And for a lot of people, Victoria, creating content, growing their Instagram, it's daunting. It's a nightmare. They struggle with it. It's exhausting. I mean, I hear all kinds of adjectives that, describe creating content and what's required of the PMU artists today to stand out. And they're not good adjectives. I mean, people are really having a hard time. So I thought it'd be really cool for you to come on here and let's talk about content and how content, it doesn't have to be super struggling and super time consuming and daunting and all that stuff. So first, let's start with why, because I do deal with this sometimes. Like as I mentioned to you, like I'm coaching. And I'm coaching on, PMU skills and business. And what I'm finding with my coaching students is they're not really They're not growing their social media. They're not really they're in the age, and the ones that are struggling and just want to walk away from their Instagram and social media are in the age group, I would say, of between 40 and 55. My younger students, I'm not too much am I finding, this kind of conversation or this kind of struggle. But with my coaching students that are like between 40 and 55, they're the ones that are really struggling. They don't even know how to get started. They don't even know. So, and some of them, Victoria, this is what I was leading up to, don't even really know if it's important. They're not even quite buying the fact that it's important. So my first question to you is, why is it necessary? Like, what's the point of doing it? Why is it necessary?
So if nobody knows who you are, then nobody can check you out, right? Like, that's the bottom line. And somebody put it to me once so eloquently. They said, you could be the best artist on the planet. You could be the Pablo Picasso of eyebrows. But if no one knows who you are, then they cannot purchase your art. And that's true. So then the other half of that is people saying, well, why does it have to be social media? I grew a hair business for 30 years and I've never posted on social media. Well, that's great. If you want to take out an ad in the phone book, or if you want to take out I don't know.
Are there still phone books?
Yeah, exactly. If you want to take out
I don't even know if there are anymore.
I think there's yellow books.
There are still yellow books? Okay, I haven't seen one.
And they still have billboards. They do have them. They exist. I see them when I'm driving, but like barely. Nobody's looking at help me, at billboards when they're driving. No. Do you know what they're looking at?
Well, hopefully social the road. Media. Yes,
social media.
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
Not.
They're not watching the road.
I would love to find out that you rear-ended someone because you were just so transfixed looking at brows that I did. What an honor. I'm not going to help you pay for it, but what an honor would that be? But it is true. If you're at a red light, look around. People are they're not looking at their crotch. They're staring at their phone. And it's true. So they're not looking at the billboard that you spent $1,200 on this month. Nobody has phone books anymore. There is no local TV. So no one even has cable to begin with. You're not buying ad spots there. Nobody listens to the radio. They listen to Sirius XM or they stream music. So all of those traditional forms of paid advertising are moot. They don't work anymore. And not only do those traditional forms of paid advertising no longer work because people have moved their attention elsewhere. The opportunity has moved into these online sources, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. It's free.
Right.
It's literally free for you to pull out your phone, take a video of some work you just did while the girl looks in the mirror and says, oh my God, I look beautiful. And you post it. It took 30 seconds of your life and it was free for a testimonial.
Right.
So I think you're actually a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs if you're not taking advantage of a free opportunity to reach 20, 30,000 people in your local area.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. So are you of the opinion that although there's social media like Instagram and Facebook, a lot of people are still using, Facebook, and you're acquiring clients on Facebook. Maybe it's like a different demographic or different age groups. But do you still think that like old fashioned, like visiting doctors' offices, doing fairs, setting up booths at fairs, getting out in your community and doing some in-person stuff in combination with social media?
I think boots on the ground are important. I think it's important to show up in your community and let people know that you're there, especially because we are a bit of a saturated market. Everybody does brows. Everybody does liner. Not everybody does good brows.
Right.
So if you are an areola specialist, or if you do camouflage tattooing for scars or something, yes, pair with a doctor for sure. And maybe in turn, if you have, things that obviously saline removal is an option for us, but if it's not in some states, you could refer back to that doctor for laser removal of work done elsewhere or something, right? So it can be a symbiotic relationship, but that's kind of the important part in anything like that. So if you're just setting up a stand and paying $500 to be a vendor at a wedding, I don't, what are they called? Like a wedding expo or something.
Yeah.
And nobody's really looking for permanent makeup, or you don't sell anything, or you don't pre-book anyone or book in any consultations. Was it really worth your time? Probably not. So I would just be really selective with where you're forming those partnerships, but definitely I would say you still need to be a presence in your community.
Yeah.
So like I sponsor things at the local school, and I donate to local charities because it's a tax write-off and because it helps people. So like our Boys and Girls Club, Faith House, which is like the domestic violence, but also, I mean, we both post it and that's good PR. So that was money well spent, even if I didn't do a brow there. I think there are certain ways. You just have to be savvy about how you actually show up in your community.
Right. So how are people doing it wrong then? If they're on if they're posting on Instagram and their Instagram's not growing, or they're getting 3 likes, or they're not getting bookings, or what? Then what are they doing wrong?
Well, first of all, are you posting? Because posting once a month or once every 2 months and then telling me, well, I just forgot about it, or I got logged out, or whatever, you're not actually doing it. You're lying to yourself. If I go and look at your Instagram and your last post was from June and today is the end of September, then no, you don't have an Instagram.
So yeah. So what is, so I know when Instagram first started, or a few years, it was like every day, and they wanted you doing like 20 stories a day, which was incomprehensible. Yeah. And
that's
not
another job. That's crazy.
It was, so today, being the expert that you are, so what's the minimum someone should be posting on their Instagram every week? Is it 3 days a week?
I was gonna say 3 times a week. Post like 3 times.
That's adequate?
Yeah, why not? So I think as long as it's regularly, so maybe you post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or if you're posting, once or twice a week on your grid and you're posting on your story every day, you're still showing up for your audience in the algorithm. You'll hold your place in the algorithm.
Right.
And that's important, because when you stop posting and then you post again, then you're seen by very few people, because the algorithm's basically trying to figure out where to place you all over again. Are people going to interact with this content? Then I'll push it. If they don't, then I won't.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's more to life than just Instagram,
Right.
TikTok will give you way more views than Instagram will. And there is still a place in the conversation for Facebook, especially if you're in the 40 to 50 range, because that's kind of who started Facebook, and they're still there.
Yeah. Or 60,
so if that's your ideal
or 80.
Client.
Yeah. I mean,
How many times? Now listen, if you're 60 or 70 or 80, your technical skills are going to be a little diminished. Okay. So that's where we're seeing the funny.
Yeah.
Actually, on Daily Mail today, there was an article about funny things that older people have accidentally sent. And so like somebody had a screenshot of all these text messages from their grandmother that said like, poop on carpet. How to get poop out carpet. Google, how do you get poop out of carpet? So sometimes you have to be really, really patient when you're messaging back and forth, because it's not, they didn't grow up with this, they're not used to it, and it's not part of their everyday life. So they're learning the same way that we are learning other things,
Well, especially Instagram, is definitely not a part of their daily life. But like both my parents, my stepmom, my friends' moms, I mean, they're all in their 70s and even 80s, and they're all on Facebook. I mean, Facebook, they can maneuver around Facebook, quite easily. So,
and they already know about permanent makeup, because it was the old style permanent makeup they knew about, and they're already interested. You can sell to them pretty easily. Can you touch this up? Maybe touch up, but sure. Come on in. Let me look.
100%. So consistency. With Instagram is really, really important. Like
I think consistency and just showing up for your brand. So I won't even commit to saying just on Instagram, whether that's a newsletter that you send out, or text blast if you have a text club, or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. I think just doing it consistently.
Right. And I don't think, and so people don't get overwhelmed. I don't think they have to like do everything at once, because that's a lot. That's a lot that you said. It's Instagram, it's TikTok, it's Facebook, it's a texting group, it's
Pick one.
Putting out a newsletter, or yeah, maybe pick a couple and start there, and nurture them and let them grow and start to take off, and then you can slowly start to add another one and add another 100%. Right? It doesn't have to be overwhelming, but I get that it is for a lot of people. It was for me when everything went from, because I'm like a child of both worlds. So meaning, what I mean by that is old school, back in the day, PMU, when Victoria, there was hardly even any websites.
Right. Right.
I mean, seriously, I think there were 2 websites in all of permanent makeup. There certainly wasn't Instagram and social media and Facebook and all that stuff. So I spent quite a few years in permanent makeup without all those tools. And it was, word of mouth. It was, hitting the streets. It was getting out in your community. It was those advertising in local, Vegas magazines. It was those things. And then of course, social media hit us. And I liked it right away, but I don't know as if I understood the importance that it was going to have in our world and in our businesses at the time social media came about. I think we all kind of looked at it like, what the hell is this? So so I kind of had to cross over and learn the new ways. I wasn't like born into it. So I think it might be a little bit easier for people in your age group, the younger people that were kind of born into social.
You think I'm young?
Oh, you're not young?
No, I have a big birthday coming up, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you do? Oh, you're so welcome. So I think I hear this more of the struggle with the gal that's a little bit older in PMU, like 45, 50, 55 years old. Because there's plenty of PMU artists that are well over 50 and are not even close to being done. So
yeah. And those tactics worked back then because the first time that someone heard of you was probably the first time that they heard of permanent makeup.
Yeah.
Or if they had just heard of permanent makeup and they started searching for someone in their area, there were not very many people for them to pick from. And I don't mean that to say like you're just who they landed with. Obviously, you're an amazing artist. You're a legend, but just lucky them for being in your local area. But I think now, if you're just looking for word of mouth, it's much, much harder because I'm an educator, so I guess that's a skewed sample. But for, let's say, my sister's going to recommend me every time, but she probably knows 6 to 8 permanent makeup artists.
Right.
And that's my sister, this person who lived, 6 feet away from me for 20 years.
Right.
So I think there's just so many people in the market now that social media gives you this unique opportunity to not only advertise your business once a day or as many times as you want to this huge sample of people who follow you, but also to differentiate yourself from all of these other artists. Yeah. Whereas before it was just one static ad that people would see over and over again. Now you get to show up every single day and show them what's the difference between you and another artist.
Right.
For me, that's always been personality and a little bit of education, because that's what I do on my stories and on my newsfeed. For some people, it's going to be their specific techniques or their location, or what I always remember about Tess Tattoo, who I've never trained with, I'm just in love with, that her old studio had that amazing view of downtown Toronto. It was like almost this just panoramic view.
Right.
I would have trained with her in a heartbeat if I thought I could get into Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. She's cute. I like her. I've never met her either, but I would love to meet her. She's super talented.
Yeah. So we've never met her, and we know so much about her because
of Instagram. Yeah, social media.